Sandy's Rocket is a really interesting season 1 episode because on the surface, it's mostly remembered as a SpongeBob and Patrick story, right? I mean, the main plot is about them sneaking into Sandy's rocket, accidentally launching themselves, and then kidnapping everyone around Bikini Bottom like they're psychos, since they think they're aliens. But before the episode focuses so much on SpongeBob and Patrick, there was a very important moment earlier in this episode, as it gave Sandy a really important piece of characterization. In this episode, Sandy builds a fully functional rocket ship and plans to use it for space research, which is a pretty big detail as this was the first episode that really showed Sandy's interest in science.
This isn't for fun. See this? This is science. I don't have time for fun and games, and I don't have time for stowaways.
Later in the series, especially after the first 2004 SpongeBob movie, Sandy being a scientist or really smart would become one of her main characteristic traits, with her being shown building machines and inventing all kinds of crazy technology. But Sandy's rocket is actually the earliest example of that side of her character. Before this, Sandy was mostly defined by being this tough Texan character who was really freaking good at karate.
Well, SpongeBob, take a gander at this.
But this episode added another layer to her, and honestly set up one of her most important traits as a character in my opinion. I'm gonna move on to other Easter eggs, don't worry, and other facts, but I mean, really think about it. There are so many SpongeBob episodes that are very dependent on this trait of Sandy. Moving on though, SpongeBob and Patrick end up messing with Sandy's rocket and launch it into space. And during the rocket's takeoff, there's a quick little gag where Patrick is seen playing a video game on one of the screens inside the rocket. He's having a good old time.
This is Sandy's big rocket, not some kind of fun house.
Now, it's a very small moment, but if you listen closely, the sound effects that play during the scene are extremely similar to the Game Boy version of Tetris. For example, take a listen for yourself.
This is Sandy's big rocket, not some kind of fun house.
This is a really cool detail, and it's interesting as at this time when this episode was in production in the very late 90s, Tetris was like a massive game at the time. I'm pretty sure it was actually like the best-selling Game Boy game of all time at the time. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people who were like developing and producing this episode were playing Tetris on the Game Boy at the time when making the episode. But who knows, that's just a theory. But this episode kept on sneaking in references as it went on. For example, moments after takeoff, there's a really fun scene where SpongeBob and Patrick become weightless due to gravity. And there's actually an Easter egg here, so let's roll the clip and let's see if you guys can spot it.
Hey, we stopped falling!
Look, we're in space now.
There's a book that floats by with 2001 written on its cover, this book right here. And if you're a younger dude, you probably won't get it, but this is actually a reference to the 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey. Honestly, one of the most famous science fiction movies ever made. It's a very fitting reference considering this entire episode is about space and going to space, so yeah, it was a fun reference. But after the rocket returns to Bikini Bottom, the episode shifts a little bit. SpongeBob and Patrick believe that they have landed on the moon, even though they are actually right back where they started, in Bikini Bottom.
It sure looks a lot like home.
Can't you see this is all a trick? The aliens are projecting our memories onto the environment. You're trying to confuse us, Patrick.
I love you, SpongeBob and Patrick, but you guys are bozo sometimes. Like, could you not tell that you were in Bikini Bottom? Like, you can literally see your house in some shots, SpongeBob. But because of their mix-up, they start assuming that because they're on the moon, that everybody they're seeing in town is actually an alien pretending to be a normal Bikini Bottom resident. So this leads to them capturing a bunch of familiar-looking fish. And this is where a pretty underrated character detail comes in. Now, who remembers the character Flats the Flounder?
Hi, SpongeBob. I'm gonna kick your butt.
A lot of people mistakenly think that this character first appeared back in the episode The Bully, since that is his most famous episode, and it's very nostalgic for a lot of fans.
Dad, what are you doing?
Nothing, son.
What did I tell you about talking to strangers?
Now he's gonna kick my butt.
Well, it turns out that Flats the Flounder's actual first appearance was in Sandy's rocket, something that I completely missed as a kid. And it's because it's during a very quick shot, as he shows up during the sequence where SpongeBob and Patrick do a montage of rounding up different Bikini Bottomites and trapping them. So yeah, a fun fact here that Flats the Flounder actually debuted in this episode. And again, it's something that I feel like a lot of fans don't realize. Moving on though, to capture everyone, SpongeBob and Patrick use these net guns right here. And you'd think that they'd just stay in this episode, but they actually were featured outside of the actual TV show. And here's why. When developers make SpongeBob video games or any licensed video game, they're usually given art assets and reference material from the show so that the games can pull from actual episodes. And a fun example of this is that the net guns from this episode, Sandy's Rocket, were later used in two different SpongeBob video games, Legend of the Lost Spatula and Operation Krabby Patty. And the reason this is interesting is that this is a very specific reference. I mean, the net guns are not some like reoccurring SpongeBob item or object. They're like literally only tied to this episode, so seeing them represented in other forms of SpongeBob media is cool and it's world building. You know what I mean? If we see something in one episode, it could appear in another form of SpongeBob media. For example, those boots that Sandy made in the episode Stuck on the Roof, we talked about it before, but those were a random item exclusive to that episode, but they were eventually used in a video game, so cool stuff. Let's get back to the plot though, as just before SpongeBob and Patrick capture Squidward, they analyze him because they think he is an alien. But more importantly, this scene and section of the episode includes a few clear nods to the 1979 film Alien. The most obvious one happens when Squidward tentacles attaches to Patrick's helmet.
Pardon my French, but get this thing off me!
For those of you who don't know, this is actually a direct reference to the facehuggers who were featured in the Alien franchise. Now, this joke works because Squidward is not doing anything alien at all. He's just being typical old Squidward. And I mean, what better episode to include a reference to the Alien movies than an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick think that everybody are literally aliens? Which again, they are so dumb for falling for this. I'd expect this from Patrick, but not from SpongeBob. There's also another reference to the Alien films in this scene, and it has to do with Squidward's water bottle, as the way that SpongeBob's hands appear under the light inside the bottle looks really similar to how the eggs appeared in the Alien movies. Also though, respect to the writers and the art team for including like a reference to a dark sci-fi horror movie within a kid show. But yeah, there's another reference in this episode, so let's keep it moving, guys. There's a lot of them in this one episode. Now, as we mentioned, SpongeBob and Patrick briefly go to space during the first half of this episode, but by the end of the episode, SpongeBob goes to space again. And there's this really cool shot where SpongeBob looks out of the window towards the moon, and we get this view of Earth. Now, you need to be a total nerd to even catch something like this, and to be honest with you, I didn't even notice it. I had to use like Wikipedia to learn. But this shot from the episode looks almost identical to the famous Earthrise photograph. This photo was taken by astronaut William Anders on December 24th, 1968, during the Apollo 8 mission, where they went to the moon. And honestly, it's become one of the most iconic images ever captured from space, so it makes sense that they'd reference it in this episode. As you just seen, there are a ton of really cool references in this episode, but let's head over to another episode with even crazier Easter eggs, facts, and trivia. Also, real quick, if you're new to the channel, guys, please subscribe. I'm one of the few SpongeBob YouTubers that uses absolutely no AI in my content, and I put a ton of love into these videos. So yeah, please subscribe, guys, especially if you want content from somebody who actually loves SpongeBob just as much as you do. Us goofy goobers gotta stick together, you know what I'm talking about? But yeah, let's head over to another episode. Okay, so there's a topic I really want to talk about here that I've kind of gone over in the past, but let's really deep dive into it. And it has to do with a SpongeBob video game. As believe it or not, one of the strangest pieces of SpongeBob Season 1 history does not come from an episode. It comes from the 2001 PlayStation game, SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. Now, on the surface, this is just an early licensed SpongeBob platformer. Behind the scenes, it accidentally became one of the most important sources of early SpongeBob production material. And that's because when the files for this game, more specifically the development archives, made their way online, these files contained the game's source code, art assets, audio, and more importantly, specific assets from the actual show itself, including backgrounds and scripts. And this is where things get interesting, as on November 14th, 2016, the original scripts for every single Season 1 SpongeBob episode were publicly leaked after being found on one of these Super Sponge asset discs. And they're just text, so it might not be the most visually entertaining thing, but these are all, guys, like the original scripts for that first season. Something that the SpongeBob community never had access to until until they got leaked from this game, which is a really crazy story if you think about it. Like I've talked about in the past, the developers of this game needed access to show materials to make sure that the game accurately represented the show that we all watched as a kid. And because of that, parts of the actual season 1 production pipeline were leaked, which is insane. Now, I grew up actually watching SpongeBob on television in the 2000s, and back in the day, I always loved the episode Bubble Stand, but I didn't realize how massive this episode actually became. Now, I'm gonna get into all the trivia, facts, and Easter eggs, but let's talk about the plot for a second so that it all makes sense, as the plot of this episode is basically just SpongeBob setting up a stand outside of his house and charging people 25 cents to blow bubbles.
Hey, Squidward, wanna blow some bubbles? Only 25 cents.
All right, like I would spend a moment of my time blowing bubbles.
Squidward, of course, is immediately annoyed by the entire thing, since he's just trying to relax at home, and SpongeBob is outside loudly advertising bubble lessons. But the episode eventually reveals that Squidward himself doesn't actually know how to blow a bubble. And this leads into one of the most famous scenes from the episode, where SpongeBob demonstrates his iconic bubble blowing technique.
First go like this, spin around, stop, double take 3 times. 1, 2, 3, then pelvic thrust. Woo!
You've probably seen it in memes, but if you didn't know the origins, this is where that iconic bring it around town dance comes from. And this scene is honestly one of the main reasons why bubble stands stuck around for so long, even in SpongeBob's marketing. As a really interesting fact here is that compared to almost any other episode in seasons 1, 2, or 3, this specific episode has been used in a surprising amount of commercials, especially the bubble blowing scene. For example, a clip of the episode was used in a 2001 Burger King commercial promoting these SpongeBob toys, which I imagine are pretty rare now, just like all of the Pokemon ones they did and those Dragon Ball Z ones. See, I know ball because I'm a real millennial. But yeah, this commercial even references the episode. Here, take a look.
It's all in the technique.
We're not just blowing bubbles, we're making bubble art.
Will you look what the tide dragged in?
That same scene also showed up in other advertisements over the years. For example, a clip of SpongeBob's Bring It Around Town moment was also used in a Nickelodeon fruit snacks commercial, which was probably really nice for Nickelodeon because they own SpongeBob and didn't have to pay for any rights. But yeah, here's the commercial.
Bring it around town.
Man, if you grew up in the 2000s, you guys know that fruit snacks and little gummies like these, like those Scooby Snacks gummies, and all of the other ones were like a major part of lunchtime at school. You guys know what I'm talking about? I remember trading those for other snacks. Another big thing from my childhood was breakfast cereal, and in 2017, Honey Nut Cheerios did a commercial that actually features elements of this episode. What's crazy is that commercial's from 2017, so even years later, after all of the other SpongeBob episodes we had, companies still want to pull from this episode Bubble Stand. This bubble blowing scene also made its way into SpongeBob video games, of course. For example, in the Game Boy Advance version of Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, SpongeBob's Bring It Around Town dance is used as a celebration animation when he completes a tile puzzle. This was like perfect, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of just perfect to use that as a victory dance in a game, so shout out to the developers. Also though, if we take a look at the game Legend of the Lost Spatula for the original Game Boy, that gesture also appears as an idle animation, as you can see here. And if we take a look at the box art for the game and we flip it around to the back, look, we can see that there's art of SpongeBob doing the Bring It Around Town motion on the back cover of the game. So hopefully you guys see why I'm rambling on about this now. Like, this one episode has been used in so many other promotional avenues for Nickelodeon. Like, I mean, for a joke from one of the earliest episodes in the season, it ended up having a surprisingly long shelf life across the franchise, right? I'm pretty sure a scene from this episode even appeared in the movie Zephora. It was that board game movie. It was like pretty much a ripoff of Jumanji, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But let's move on because there's other things I want to talk about regarding this episode other than commercials. As this episode actually created a pretty weird lore issue. During SpongeBob's bubble demonstration, SpongeBob blows several different bubble shapes, and one of them is a butterfly, as you can see here. Now at the time, this was just another example of SpongeBob being weirdly talented at making very detailed bubbles. Like, he's actually really good at this. But the problem comes in the next season with the episode Wormy. Back in that iconic episode, another really good one, SpongeBob does not seem to know what a butterfly is. He acts like he's never even seen one before.
What is that thing?
I don't know, Patrick. But whatever it is, it must have eaten Wormy!
Once Wormy transforms into an actual butterfly, SpongeBob and Patrick are like terrified, thinking it's some monster that's gonna eat their heads off. And this creates somewhat of a minor plot hole, because SpongeBob has already interacted with a butterfly-shaped bubble back in Bubble Stand. Like, the dude literally made the bubble, so he must have known what a butterfly was, right? Of course, it's not a huge continuity-breaking issue, since SpongeBob is a cartoon and isn't necessarily known for perfect consistency, but it's still kind of funny. But another detail that's easy to miss in Bubble Stand happens right at the beginning of the episode, as this is actually the first episode where we've seen Squidward playing his clarinet.
And now for some soothing sounds from Squidward's clarinet. Thank you, thank you.
He plays it while SpongeBob is outside building the stand, and looking back, it was actually like a pretty big deal. I mean, Squidward's clarinet would go on to become one of the most important parts of his character. It's just like Sandy being obsessed with technology, or Mr. Krabs being obsessed with scamming everybody since he loves money so much. Like, Mr. Krabs loves money so much that I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one running all of those AI SpongeBob channels, guys. You know, like Cartoonology, it's probably Mr. Krabs running that up over there. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight this, as again, the clarinet is such a massive part of Squidward's personality, and it's cool to see the first time he ever played one. But I'm still not done yet, as there's also some really interesting behind the scene details about this episode that were revealed via Steven Hillenburg's pitch Bible. Over the years, fans have gotten production information from different sources, but this pitch Bible is especially important because it shows how early versions of the show were actually being planned. For example, in the case of Bubble Stand, the pitch Bible revealed that the episode was originally going to be titled just Bubbles, so a much simpler title. This pitch Bible also revealed a change involving one of SpongeBob's bubble creations earlier in the episode. In the final cut, like the version that aired on TV that me and you watched as little kids, one of SpongeBob's bubbles floats into Squidward's house, and it's in the shape of an elephant, as you can see here. But it was revealed in the pitch Bible that this bubble was actually going to be a tugboat instead. Another one of the creations that SpongeBob makes in the episode, for the record. Is it a big deal? No, but it's a detail that only somebody as nerdy and dorky as me would care about. And now if you're ever chilling with the homies and you're watching this episode, you can be like, actually, this episode was going to be titled Bubbles. I'm sure that's how I sound when I make these videos. But yeah, there is one more thing I'd like to talk about, as this episode's legacy has continued much later in the series as well, as Bubble Stand was actually referenced 25 years later in the episode Friendiversary, during a quick scene where Squidward is trying to restore SpongeBob's memories. So yeah, it wasn't just the 2000s. It wasn't even just in 2017 with the Honey Nut Cheerios commercial. Even in recent seasons, this episode still gets referenced. So it's just a testament to how iconic Bubble Stand actually is. But I'm not done yet. Let's head over to another episode, guys, and I've got more Easter eggs coming up. And real quick, just a heads up to all of my viewers, and you can skip ahead if you don't want to hear me, but hear me out, all right, please. I, for the most part, have been doing sleep content on this channel where I make these really big videos. They're like compilations where the first little bit of it is new content, but I want to branch off from this a little bit. I still want to make sleep content, so don't worry, but I also want to make some videos that are like 30 minutes long and are more focused on one SpongeBob topic. So over the next few months and weeks, if you see me upload one of these videos and you see a video that's 30 or 40 minutes from me, please click on it, guys, because I need your guys' support. Right now, my channel is heavily ingrained in the like sleep content algorithm, and I'm very lucky and very thankful, but if I release these videos and no one clicks them, it can really hurt my channel. So just, yeah, you'll be doing me a massive favor. But yeah, more Easter eggs. Let's keep it going. We're gonna switch up the flow a little bit for these next couple of Easter eggs, as they're not really Easter eggs. I mean, they technically are. They're basically a bunch of references to SpongeBob in other shows. And then don't worry, after that, I got lots of regular Easter eggs for you guys, but these are very interesting. So yeah, let's dive into it. Let's kick things off with another Nickelodeon show. SpongeBob is produced by Nickelodeon, and they back in the day had a ton of other Nicktoons. One of those being Jimmy Neutron. I love this show. This show is iconic. You know, I'm actually surprised that they haven't done some sort of like Jimmy Neutron reboot at this point. They rebooted Rugrats, so like why not Jimmy Neutron? But anyways, there is a really cool reference to SpongeBob in the Jimmy Neutron episode, Operation Rescue Jet Fusion. Take a look at this and let's see if you guys can spot it.
There's the tracking device.
Well, as you know, SpongeBob lives in an iconic pineapple home, all right? Right here, it's iconic. Would you guys live in a pineapple? I'm curious, let me know in the comments. But yeah, he lives in this house, and if we pay close attention during this scene of Rescue Jet Fusion, why is there a random pineapple under the sea? Yeah, this is definitely a reference to SpongeBob. Pineapples don't actually just grow undersea, and I don't think it's a coincidence that this show is also made by Nickelodeon. So yeah, this one's really cool. I love Jimmy Neutron, and it's awesome to see two Nickelodeon shows reference each other. And guys, that's not it. Let's head over to another show. It's gonna shock you that this show has a reference to SpongeBob in it. Next up is The Simpsons. Yeah, guys, believe it or not, The Simpsons has so many references to SpongeBob. Like, SpongeBob will just blatantly appear in the cartoon. It's usually more parody than a cameo or reference. Like, I don't know how much Nickelodeon likes it. I don't think Nickelodeon's allowing it to happen, but it's still really cool and really funny. Here's the first reference. Now, I'll admit that first one was pretty light, okay? As you guys seen, it's pretty simple. Bart always has that gag where he writes on the chalkboard. It's always something funny during the opening, The Simpsons intro opening song. And as you can see right here, this time it's a SpongeBob reference, which is really cool. This one's subtle, like I said, but some of the other Simpsons references to SpongeBob are wild, just like this one. Take a look at this from the episode The Way of the Dog. This is the type of cameo or reference where I'm asking myself if Nickelodeon's cool with it. You know Nickelodeon does not like this because look, it's blatantly like an orange SpongeBob lookalike plush. Like, you know that is SpongeBob, and I don't know how The Simpsons has not gotten sued by Nickelodeon, but hey, I'm all for it. I love references like this. They're awesome. And there's another one in this episode, The Ways We Hear. Take a look at this.
No. Identify all traffic lights. Done. Identify all yield signs. Done. Lisa, help me!
20th century dictators? Overrated fiction? Hyper-intelligent cartoon characters? Vegan nut milks?
Now, I really like this one because as you can see, it's like a CAPTCHA screen. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Patrick's just in the background. It's like he's a part of this CAPTCHA screen, which is just, it cracks me up. And it makes it even more funny that this Waze website is like a parody of Google's Waze. So just super cool references. And The Simpsons isn't the only show with really cool references or parodies regarding SpongeBob. So let's head over to another cartoon. This one's also going to shock you a little bit. Up next is American Dad. Like I said, this is an adult cartoon, so I'm kind of shocked that SpongeBob would be referenced in it. Then again though, it's kind of funny that they're referencing a kid's cartoon. I think that's the whole point. And the first one can be found in the episode Jack's Back. Take a look at this.
Miss Smith's duties shall be limited to watching TV and web surfing.
I already have a boy for that. He watches Nickelodeon all day. And not real. Game on, bitch.
Hey! You said a swear.
Wait, you're real?
Yeah, this one cracked me up. So you can see Roger come in and walk in on this kid who's watching a SpongeBob parody show. So yeah, I mean, I was that kid when I was growing up watching SpongeBob on the TV. It's a good show and a really cool reference here from American Dad. And here's another one from another American Dad episode, Toy Story. I'm not gonna say what it's actually called. It's inappropriate. We're just gonna call it Toy Story. Here's the reference.
Tonight, we fight for our lives!
Yeah!
Dude, you know that Fox had a lawsuit on their hand for this one scene. Look at how many copywritten characters are on screen. We've got Transformers over here. We've got Thomas the Tank Engine right here. But more importantly, we've got this banana version of SpongeBob right here, which is hilarious. And also, if you look, I'm pretty sure he's missing an arm, just saying. Really funny parody from American Dad, a banana version of SpongeBob, which I think is also a thing in the Cleveland show. Take a look at this.
Can't believe I missed Stool Fest because of my stupid mom.
Ha! You're whipped by your mom.
We've we've talked about this before, but I realized it made an appearance in an episode we haven't talked about, Buried Pleasure, where Cleveland wins a Banana Bob plush doll at the carnival right here. They really love SpongeBob over at Fox, man. But yeah, let's head over to another cartoon with more SpongeBob cameos. This next one will be more of a cameo and less of a parody, so yeah. There are a lot of SpongeBob references in adult cartoons. This next one's from more of a kid's cartoon, that being Duck Dodgers. Roll the footage, take a look at this.
It's a formal celebration of our planet's peace, and you're making a mockery of it, you sea sponge!
Yeah, so Disney isn't nearly as brave as Fox is, as this one's a little more subtle, but you can also tell it's a reference to SpongeBob, as in the episode The Fins of War. There's this busboy character who bears a striking resemblance to SpongeBob. I mean, come on, that is 100% SpongeBob, and it's important to mention that they go like undersea in this episode, so you can tell that it's meant to be a reference to SpongeBob, and this one's a little more classy. Like, I actually really like the design right here. It's really cool. Not as cool as this other reference from this next cartoon though. Alright, so let's make this next one quick since it's more of a live action reference. I prefer covering like cartoon ones, but this one's still cool and it's from the iconic show Sesame Street. Definitely gonna crack you guys up a little bit. Roll that footage, let's go.
It's time! It's time!
Time for what?
Triangle Bob Triangle Pants!
Triangle Bob Triangle Pants?
My favorite TV show, Alan!
Are you ready, kids?
Yes! Yes, Triangle Bob! Yes!
Who lives in a triangle, counting to 3.
Yeah, so let me introduce you guys to Triangle Bob Triangle Pants, a very clear spoof of Nickelodeon's character SpongeBob. It appeared in episode 4079. I had no idea there were that many episodes from season 35. And yeah, not much else to say about this one, but I want that outfit, man. That dude's dripping. I want that Triangle Bob drip. But let's keep it moving to another cartoon. So here's the thing. I have never actually even heard of this show until making this video. The show's called Uncle Grandpa, but it does seem to be somewhat of a popular show. What really caught my eye though was this really blatant and probably one of the coolest references I've seen to SpongeBob in a while. You guys gotta see it for yourself. Look.
If I don't make friends now, I might never make friends. And without friends, my grades would suffer and I'd miss out on a college education and end up with a crummy job and a crummy life.
I absolutely love this one. So as you can see, the character's panicking about not getting a good job and having to work at like a fast food restaurant, which is a thing, guys. Cartoon Corey used to work at Subway and now I do YouTube. Trust me, finish school because you do not want to work at a fast food place. I know SpongeBob makes it fun flipping Krabby Patties, but yeah, anyways, when the character complains about this, he's pretty much in the exact Krusty Krab kitchen. I mean, look at this. Here's a side-by-side, and the dude working cash is a creature who slightly resembles Squidward. Like, come on. This whole shot right here is 100% a reference to being a fry cook at the Krusty Krab. And I absolutely love it. This is a cool reference. It's fun. So I don't know if this one was a cameo. This one was probably more parody, but the Disney series Amphibia. This is more of a newer series. It only came out back in like 2019, but dude, it is really, really good. And it actually has a ton of different little references to video games and cartoons. And here's one to SpongeBob.
This is fun to watch and all, but it can make the last puzzle pretty rough.
I'm sure they'll work it out by the time we get there.
How cool was that? So as any SpongeBob fan knows, one constant in the series are these like time cards where it'll be like SpongeBob's doing something and then it'll jump to this screen and it'll be like 5 hours later, and then it jumps back to the episode and you see whatever they're doing. It's a really funny gag. Here's an example of it from a SpongeBob episode.
Here we go.
1 hour later.
Just a few more seconds of mental preparation and I'll be painting this wall.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Well, as you've seen before, Amphibia references this in the episode The First Temple. As look, you can tell that this is a blatant reference to the time cards in SpongeBob. I mean, look at it and it's hilarious. I love it. Go watch Amphibia, it's a good show. But for now, let's keep on watching these SpongeBob cameos and references and head over to another TV show featuring our favorite favorite yellow sponge. Next up is The Simpsons, owned by Fox, which is also owned by Disney, so interesting. I don't think this one was a cameo. Again, I think this one was a parody, and I've said this before, I'm surprised that like Nickelodeon has not sued the heck out of Fox. Anyways though, we've got 3 spicy SpongeBob parodies in 3 different episodes of The Simpsons. Here's the first one. It takes place in the episode She Used to Be My Girl. Here, take a look.
Lisa, what are you doing in there?
Praying to Buddha, Jesus, SpongeBob. There's no time to be picky.
Perhaps we should help.
Skriller.
Yeah, I told you, they're really funny. That one happens during the credits and it's really fast, but as you can see, we got SpongeBob up in heaven with Jesus. Really good stuff. And here's another one from another Simpsons episode. This episode is Fat Man and Little Boy.
Hey, hey! Krusty Show t-shirts are made for kids, by kids. We've got all your favorite characters: Itchy, Scratchy, Poochie, Austin Powers Itchy, Itchy Poochie, Scratch Bob Itchpants, Confederate Itchy, and Osama Bin Scratchy.
This is another good one. Let me introduce you guys to Scratch Bob Itchpants. Like I said, it's from the episode Fat Man and Little Boy, and just, yeah, really funny. And here's another one from one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Take a look at this, roll the footage.
Sweaty cheese. At the end of the day, you're still cheese to me.
Dude, that is literally SpongeBob's house. Like, here's a side-by-side. There are some minor differences. This is like a massive island version of it, but that is totally SpongeBob's pineapple home. And you gotta love Simpsons for putting this in the episode. I love stuff like this. It's too funny. You know what's also funny though? This next SpongeBob reference from an entirely different cartoon that you will not believe. So let's head over to that. Who remembers the show, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy? I mean, I say that as if it was like a smaller show, but this was a Cartoon Network smash hit. This show is very popular, so you gotta remember it. Come on. I loved this show as a kid, but even I missed this SpongeBob reference in the episode Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. Take a look at this.
See this chart? Yes. This chart has nothing to do with us. Now this chart shows sales have been declining ever since we hired you. Apparently no one wants to buy a product with death on it. Whose dumb idea was it to hire you anyway?
Now, I will admit, this character doesn't look exactly like SpongeBob. He is blue, but I mean, come on, you can see the similarities. And if you need more convincing, unsurprisingly, C.H. Greenblatt was a writer on the show, and he's done a lot of work for SpongeBob. So I don't think that was a coincidence. This one was intentional. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But let's head over to another cartoon with more SpongeBob references. I'm gonna make this next one very quick because it takes place in a live action show. I prefer to, make these videos focus on cartoon references to SpongeBob, but the show's Big Bang Theory, this show was like massive. I personally am not a big fan of this show, but roll the clip, take a look at this. Interesting. This is gonna really show how much of a SpongeBob nerd I am, because we can see that Sheldon is watching a SpongeBob episode on his phone. But what episode is it? This is Plankton. This is Plankton's debut episode from season 1. And let's keep it moving to another show that's a cartoon with references to SpongeBob. This next one is from a SpongeBob sister or brother show, that being Hey Arnold. This is an extremely underrated Nicktoon, just saying, and I don't know why this show hasn't gotten a reboot. Anyways though, in the Hey Arnold episode Weighing Harold, there's a very subtle Easter egg to SpongeBob. Take a look at this.
Nobody's even seen him in over a week.
I heard he went and holed up in his room and ain't coming out.
He's probably too busy eating to come out.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this record right here in this record store, as SpongeBob's name is on it, which is 100% a blatant reference. This was on purpose. And I love it. I love the Nicktoons days, and I love when Nicktoons reference each other, so really cool stuff. That's not it for cool references to SpongeBob though in other cartoons. This next cartoon is really gonna shock you. I personally didn't even expect this next cartoon to have references to a kid's show, so yeah, let's keep it moving. Yup, even shows like American Dad or Family Guy will reference SpongeBob. They do it all the time, and we've already covered a couple of American Dad or Family Guy references to SpongeBob, but I found more. Check out this one from the American Dad episode, Sense in Sensei.
See, Francine, this is why I can't go piñata shopping. I just want to rescue them all. Wait, what's that smell?
It smells terrible.
Oh, Haley, are you back to homeopathic deodorant?
It's not me.
Yeah, take a look at Stan's SpongeBob pinata over there. You know, when I one day have a little cartoon Corey, my own kid, and I throw him a birthday party, I'm gonna get him a SpongeBob pinata. But here's another American Dad reference to SpongeBob in the episode Father's Days. This one's iconic, and it's his cake.
Hey guys, I know you didn't think my jokes earlier were very funny. I know you're feeling a little down, so I made you one of my famous apology cakes. Just pretend SpongeBob is me. And instead of having amazing adventures under the sea, he's sorry he insulted his family.
Dude, did you see that thing? I want a slice of it. Give me a slice of that cake. Like I said though, Family Guy also has a bunch of references to SpongeBob. We've covered a lot of them, but this is the one we haven't covered yet, and it's from the episode Turkey Guys.
With the popular balloons we all know and love, Mickey Rabbit, Sponge Cow, and Clifton, the small blue dog.
I love that one. Take a look at Sponge Cow Moo Pants over here. But let's head over to another show, guys. So many shows have different references to SpongeBob, and I've got more. Let's head over to another show. Here's another one from a live action movie. The movie is Pet Sematary, and we're gonna make it quick. It happens during this scene. The episode playing in the movie is Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. I got it, boy. Let's keep it moving though, guys. Let's head back to cartoons. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like if the Simpsons have made references to SpongeBob, then of course Futurama is also going to. And that's exactly what happens in the episode Yo Layla Layla. Take a look at this robot version of SpongeBob.
Tomorrow's ratings just came in from the future. We're a hit.
What? My show is a hit?
What are you, deaf? It's gonna be bigger than SpongeBob SquareBolts.
I interfere with pacemakers.
Now that is pretty cool. In the episode Delivery of Doom, SpongeBob is challenged to deliver a Krusty Krab order to the League of Evil's secret lair in under 10 minutes, or else the villains get to eat for free, Mr. Krabs' worst nightmare. The episode opens with a charmingly low-tech Krusty Krab commercial that Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob film themselves, using a hollowed-out television and crayon-drawn backdrop.
You can let the Krusty Krab make and deliver your meal for you.
Longtime fans will recognize this as a homage to SpongeBob's puppet TV gag from Season 3's Can You Spare a Dime, where SpongeBob put on a similar DIY show to cheer up Squidward. Speaking of evil, notably, the entrance to their lair is still through a dumpster.
Secret entrance.
This right here is a reference, as it was portrayed the exact same way back in the episode Captain Pipsqueak when Plankton sought out the League of Evil.
The villains escape to their secret underground lair.
In fact, when Mr. Krabs literally cannon launches SpongeBob towards the delivery address, he lands in that very dumpster portal. The door inside the dumpster is another blast from the past, as it's modeled after the classic evil logo seen in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. From here though, SpongeBob's descent into the lair is filled with tons and tons of nostalgia. For one, as he free falls down Evil's secret chute, he whips out a very familiar spatula.
Bob reached for his hydrodynamic spatula with port and starboard attachments.
This right here is another reference. This is SpongeBob's hydrodynamic spatula, the same high-tech spatula with port and starboard attachments that he first used in this clip from the very first SpongeBob episode ever, Help Wanted.
Did someone order a spatula?
Using the propeller spatula to slow his fall is both practical and a wink to fans remembering SpongeBob's fry cook initiation test. As remember, Mr. Krabs sent him to find this, not even knowing that this item existed. His goal was to have SpongeBob searching forever, that way he never has to see SpongeBob again.
We'll give you a test. Go out and fetch me a hydrodynamic spatula.
But back to Delivery of Doom. After landing, SpongeBob checks his watch, which is another really cool reference. This isn't the first time we've seen this item before. If we go back like 10 years ago, there was the episode Mermaid Man Begins, and this nifty piece of merchandise first appeared in that episode, when SpongeBob and Patrick donned all of their fanboy gear so that they could watch the first episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy together.
And?
It's time. It's time. It's time to fight evil.
By equipping SpongeBob with these vintage accessories, the spatula and Mermaid Man watch, the episode equips him and us with a sense of old school SpongeBob nostalgia. And this will continue. This episode has so many Easter eggs, guys. Whoever wrote this episode definitely wanted to show off their knowledge of SpongeBob lore. Inside the lair, SpongeBob essentially navigates a villain-themed obstacle course, and each room brims with references. First, he faces a familiar face. Well, maybe not so familiar, as this character is actually really rare. First up is Jumbo Shrimp, with SpongeBob facing off with him in a wrestling ring.
Jumbo Shrimp, the biggest name in bad behavior.
Now here's the thing, the Easter egg here isn't necessarily Jumbo Shrimp. Like, Jumbo Shrimp is kind of an Easter egg because he's a rare character. It's like a callback to older episodes. But what makes this one really special is that Jumbo Shrimp had a major character redesign in later episodes. When he first appeared, he looked like this humanoid, ripped, jacked version of Jumbo Shrimp.
The atomic flounder and the dreaded Jumbo Shrimp.
As you just saw, he was just like a static cutout used for a gag. But later on, they did a complete switch up and changed him to this six-legged version of him that does arguably look more like a legitimate villain.
Settles it, Captain Pipsqueak! Captain Pipsqueak!
There's a moment where the bunny's going through SpongeBob's house and is destroying everything. We've talked about this before, and we get this one shot of SpongeBob's comic book collection. And as you can see, each issue is numbered, so we know the order that each of these issues released in. And if you look, there's 3 issues with Jumbo Shrimp on them. In the first one, issue number 3, we can see that he's using his original design, the more humanoid, jacked, shrimp version, without the mask or anything like that. Here's a side-by-side with the shot of him from Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2 and this comic book cover. But then this changes in issue number 5, where he's now wearing the mask and looks more evil, and then we get a full body shot of him in issue number 11. So my theory is that he started out looking like this, and then he started putting on the mask in the costume, which is what changed his design. This isn't canon, it's just a theory, but let's get back to this Easter egg because I just went off on a whole mini tangent. The main point here is this is his more modern design, the redesign, and we haven't seen his original design for years. However, as you can imagine, this would change in Delivery of Doom.
You look bigger in the comics. Do you think you could sign this for me?
Oh, gladly.
So yeah, not only is it rare to even see this character, but it's the first time we've seen his original design in a while too. Speaking of Bikini Bottom superheroes and supervillains, we have another Easter egg related to this. In a similar vein, when SpongeBob shows Mr. Krabs the comic book he's brought along, closer to the start of the episode, we can see Miss appear on the cover of the comic book, and she's gone through a bit of a redesign. This time it's to resemble Sandy Cheeks' Broadway portrayal from the SpongeBob musical, with her being black, and complete with a stylish afro. Miss Appear's look has actually evolved repeatedly over the years. For example, her initial cameo on a lunchbox in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5 showed her with bright red hair, but then later in the Bad Guys Club for Supervillains, her design changed again, with her outfit changing subtly, but her hair changing to be black. So it's interesting to see a third redesign here. As SpongeBob continues the delivery, he next stumbles into a kitchen set guarded by the infamous Dirty Bubble.
You certainly did, you simple-minded sponge!
There's a really cool Easter egg here, as the close-up shot of this faucet dripping right here, specifically when the dirty bubble comes out of it, is a direct reproduction shot from a season 1 episode. If we go back to Squeaky Boots from, like I just said, season 1, Mr. Krabs is tormented by the repetitive squeak of SpongeBob's boots, leading to a surreal montage of sounds, where Mr. Krabs is absolutely tweaking, like the dude is going crazy. But more importantly, there's this random extreme close-up shot of a dripping faucet, which also nearly drives Mr. Krabs mad.
Could the world's greatest fight?
It's a very weird scene, but over 20 years later, and we get a really cool reference. You know, it's the kind of blink and you miss it detail only diehard fans like myself would catch, and you need to see it side by side. You guys probably think I'm crazy, but as you can see right here, it's identical. I love Easter eggs like these ones, and I've got more. As when SpongeBob first enters the dirty bubble area of the lair, there's a certain photo on the wall that serves as a really cool Easter egg. This right here is called a recursive picture, a portrait that contains a smaller copy of itself that just repeats, like, forever within the picture. This is actually a running gag within SpongeBob's world that dates back to an old school episode like No Free Rides. There's also a recursive picture, right here in this shot, a framed photo of Mrs. Puff at her door, included in the very same scene within itself. This also happened again with Mrs. Puff in the episode Potato Puff years later, with the artist slipping in another one of these cool little references. So it happening here in Delivery of Doom is like an intentional Easter egg. And dude, there's so many, there's even more. As this section of the episode continues, SpongeBob finds himself once again unintentionally besting the dirty bubble. Armed with his trusty pen, he innocently asks for an autograph, but he also ends up, like, killing him.
Ooh, can I get your autograph?
Oh, wait! Not again.
And this is where the reference comes in, as SpongeBob did the exact same thing like years ago in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2.
Can I have your autograph?
What's the point now?
And guess what? There's even some continuity here. In Delivery of Doom, upon bursting, the dirty bubble even groans, not again, directly referencing the first time where SpongeBob's pencil popped him back in that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode I just mentioned. Finally, for this episode though, and then we'll talk about another one, SpongeBob reaches Man Ray, the last villain and the leader of evil, with mere seconds left on the delivery clock. Man Ray isn't interested in letting SpongeBob succeed, so he stalls until the time runs out, robbing SpongeBob of a win.
Delivery complete!
Yes, but it was 1 second late.
From here, Man Ray reveals the League's dirty little secret. Evil is completely broke. They've lost all their money. To prove it, he holds up an empty wallet. Notably, it's one of Patrick's wallets from the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 3. The very same one from Patrick's Is This Your Wallet bit.
You've dropped your wallet.
Doesn't look familiar to me.
I just saw you drop it. Yeah.
Nope, it's not mine.
At the very end of the episode, as the hungry evildoers dig into their food, we're treated to a final buffet of callbacks. Among the items SpongeBob delivers are a crusty kids meal with the same box from the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob, as well as a Patty Pal toy, another callback to the episode Yours, Mine, and Mine. And with that, holy, I'm out of breath. We're finally done with that episode. That was a lot of Easter eggs, guys. Oh my gosh. Also, guys, I just want to say real quick, and I'm gonna get right back to the content, don't worry, but please subscribe, guys. I'm like one of the only non-AI SpongeBob channels right here. I put a lot of time into these videos confirming every Easter egg I talk about, and like it's just a lot of time and I love doing it. I'm very passionate about SpongeBob. Let me correct my pronunciation. Just showing you I'm real. So please subscribe. And yeah, back to the video. Let's talk about more Easter eggs in another episode. Our next episode, Squid Noir, drops us into a stylistic mystery in which Squidward turns detective, literally, to find his missing clarinet. And along the way, it dishes out some delicious cameos for observant fans. The episode opens at the Krusty Krab, with Squidward's jazz performance annoying everyone.
Make it stop!
Now, you may have missed it, but if you look at the crowd throughout the Krusty Krab, there's a rare character here. None other than Flats the Flounder, the bully from the Season 3 episode titled, well, The Bully.
Tell the class something about yourself, Flats.
Well, I like to kick people's butts.
Flats really has not been seen in ages, aside from a brief miscolored cameo at a party. Pretty sure this happens at the end of the episode, The Slumber Party. You can see him right here, miscolored. But aside from that, we haven't seen him since his original episode, pretty much. And I also love the fact that he's kind of like a background character. It's not like one of those Easter eggs where it's right up in your face. It's kind of subtle. And these types of things like expand the world of SpongeBob to me, because it shows that, you know, Flats the Flounder is like a regular Bikini Bottom citizen. He wasn't just exclusive to that one episode, but I'm rambling. Nerd Corey's coming out here. Can you guys tell that I really like SpongeBob? But back to the episode, when Squidward's beloved clarinet does vanish and the world turns black and white, a really cool effect by the way, the hunt for clues leads our heroes to a local comic book shop. Here, the animators pack the scene with inside references. For example, look closely at the shop's merchandise, and you'll spot action figures of several obscure characters. For example, the Moth right here from the episode Nightlight. Nightlight is a random episode, and the Moth is like a character who only appeared in that episode like one time.
Another thing. What the?
Even the background art of this scene gets playful. On the table, there's a gaming dice that features a staircase-shaped symbol, almost identical to the escalator icon from the board game Eels and Escalators. That board game appeared in Sailor Mouth, obviously, where SpongeBob and Patrick rolled dice marked with little eels and escalators instead of numbers. If we put them side by side, the die in Squid Noir has the same stylized stairs. However, the other symbol is different, I'll admit, so I don't know. But you guys know what I'm talking about here and see it. The stair or escalator icon is like identical. You know, it's probably possible that the prop designers of this episode reused the eels and escalators design for a generic comic shop dice asset, but who knows. In Camp SpongeBob, a Camp Coral episode set during SpongeBob's summer at camp as a kid, SpongeBob finds himself accidentally left all alone at Camp Coral. Rather than mope, our favorite sponge turns the deserted grounds into Camp SpongeBob, making the best of solitude. That is, until some friendly critters join him. This episode carries a breezy, zany tone, but it still sneaks in references bridging back to the main series. For instance, in one early scene, Patrick thinks he's chatting with SpongeBob, only to realize that he's been chatting to a box of Kelpo cereal.
I got my buddy! You're awfully quiet today, SpongeBob.
As you can see, Patrick is holding a yellow Kelpo's cereal box and actually thinks that it's SpongeBob. This absurd gag is actually a clever nod to the episode as seen on TV. And that classic season 3 episode, SpongeBob appears briefly in a Krusty Krab commercial, and later an elderly fish mistakes him for a box of Bran Flakes cereal. This also happens in a bunch of other episodes where SpongeBob has literally been mistaken for Kelpos before in particular. But back to the episode. Left to his own devices, SpongeBob soon attracts a large audience of forest animals to Camp SpongeBob, including sea bunnies, a sea serpent, and even a few wild clams.
Oh, hello! Would you like to join Camp SpongeBob? It's free for sea bunnies.
In a particularly charming sequence, two sea bunnies blow bubbles together for fun. They end up blowing a giant bubble in the shape of SpongeBob himself, which floats above them. As if on cue, an instrumental of the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song kicks in, just as the SpongeBob-shaped bubble pops in the air.
Ooh, who's that handsome fellow?
It's a meta moment that breaks the fourth wall musically, with the characters literally inside the show acknowledging the theme song of the show. Throughout the episode, SpongeBob's camp adventures carry echoes of the main series. At one point, Patrick returns, having realized SpongeBob was left behind, and joins the fun, only to be trampled by a herd of meeping anchovies at the camp. This flows directly into the next Camp Coral episode. But even here, one could potentially say this was a callback, but I don't know. I mean, seeing anchovies swarming somebody while saying their trademark meep is always going to be reminiscent of Help Wanted, the first ever SpongeBob episode. More specifically, this scene right here.
Anchovies!
But I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is necessarily a reference. This is one where the SpongeBob wiki says that it's an Easter egg, but I don't fully agree, but I'm gonna include it anyways. However, I do agree with this next one. There's one moment in this scene where we see a bunch of clams acting very strangely, and we see Patrick observing them. And at one point, he makes this face right here. Now, if I do a side-by-side, this face is very similar to this scene from the episode Face Freeze.
Oh, how about an eye cross? And then
In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick get addicted to making all of these strange comedic faces. However, it backfires when their faces freeze and don't go back to normal. Honestly, a really weird plot, but not a bad episode. It seems that even as a kid, Patrick had face freeze at times, I guess, huh? I mean, look at a side-by-side and that face is very similar, but it could also be a case of like the art team reusing a reference shot or something. I don't know. I'm just presenting all the facts, trivia, and Easter eggs to you guys, because I'm a nerd. Now, I will admit some of the Easter eggs and facts and stuff in this past episode, some of them were kind of reaching, but this next episode has a lot of really good stuff. Sharks vs. Pods from season 10 is an episode that wears its inspiration on its sleeve. A loving parody of West Side Story and 1950s greaser culture, while also digging into SpongeBob's own archives for some seriously cool callbacks. The premise finds SpongeBob falling in with a tough street crew of sharks, only to face off against a rival group of pods, cephalopods by the way, which is pretty much what Squidward is, and surprise, surprise, the leader of the pods is Squidward. Now, the title itself is actually riffing on the famous Sharks vs. Jets rivalry from the iconic film West Side Story. And originally, the episode was even stated to be titled Swimming with Sharks. But beyond the musical theater nods, this story deep dives into SpongeBob lore. And I know that's what you guys actually want here, so let's get into that. Early in the episode, as SpongeBob gets swept up in the shark's world, we catch a glimpse of his home decorated with a very meaningful keepsake.
I'll have to go into the witness protection program. I'll have to quit working at the Krusty Krab. I'll never flip a succulent Krabby Patty ever again. Oh, what have I done?
You guys may have missed it, but on the wall right here is a framed picture of the hydrodynamic spatula, the same one we talked about earlier in this video, the one he acquired back in Help Wanted. I love how SpongeBob's proudly displaying it like a trophy, and I'm sure back in Delivery of Doom, he had to take it out of retirement because we see him using it again there, right? A few moments later, as SpongeBob prepares for a climatic dance, there's still a couple more Easter eggs in this episode though, so let's keep it going. As SpongeBob later prepares for a climatic dance showdown with the pods to rescue his kidnapped pet snail Gary, he gears up in his garage, and in the background there's another gem for observant fans.
I have to go to the showdown. I have to get ready to fight.
I'm sure you guys caught this one, but SpongeBob's old license plate right here reads, "I'm ready." And this is a reference. I mean, this plate right here sounding out "I'm ready" was originally seen on SpongeBob's first boatmobile all the way back in season 3's No Free Rides. In that episode, Mrs. Puff awarded him a fake license and a paddy wagon. And as you can see here, it's pretty much the same license plate, although there is a little bit of a coloring change here. Moments like this show some crew members' dedication to continuity. SpongeBob saving sentimental scraps from old adventures, which adds a lot of personality to the world. Moving on though, one of the episode's most exciting surprises is the reappearance of Reg, the burly bouncer from the classic season 3 episode No Weenies Allowed. Reg originally stood guard at the Salty Spittoon, denying SpongeBob entry for not being tough enough.
How tough am I? How tough am I? I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Yes, so?
Without any milk.
Right this way.
Reg returns in a similar capacity, at a Fight Club-like dance arena. Longtime viewers will immediately recognize his shaved head, sunglasses, and tattoo that famously said "Mom."
How tough am I?
Wow.
You may notice something different about it this time, as it's colored blue instead of its original red. Here's a side-by-side of Reg from No Weenies Allowed and Reg in this episode, and I don't know why they changed the color of the tattoo. Maybe this was an animator's way of sneaking this rare character into the episode, who knows. Regardless of the tattoo color though, seeing Reg again in any form is a treat. He was one of those one-off characters fans always remember, so it's cool to see him popping up again. And let's keep it going with more Easter eggs from this episode. Once the titular sharks and pods face off, the episode turns into a full-blown musical dance battle. The animators and writers seize this opportunity to reference one of SpongeBob's most beloved musical moments, Squidward's talent show dance from the iconic episode Culture Shock. During the showdown, the pods do one dance that is very, very similar. It isn't identical, but honestly, it kind of is, as you can see here. I'm showing them side by side and I'm looping both clips. And yeah, the dance is very similar. It was honestly like the perfect moment for this type of callback. And it wasn't just thrown into the episode for the sake of Easter eggs. But beyond the SpongeBob specific Easter egg, this episode's entire framework pays homage to pop culture. The Sharks gang themselves are voiced by television icons. The actors Henry Winkler, Michael McKean, David Lander, and many more. The three I mentioned though famously played Fonzie, Lenzie, and Squiggy from Happy Days. Just saying to all the younger viewers watching, Happy Days is like a very, very old show, but view it like this, back in the day, it was like one of the biggest shows on television. But yeah, this casting is a meta joke. The Sharks are essentially undersea greasers akin to the Happy Days gang. And it's pretty cool, but let's head over to another episode with, you guessed it, more Easter eggs. Also, another quick reminder guys that if you're enjoying the video, please subscribe. I'm really trying to hit 10K and I'm like halfway there, so I'd really appreciate it. Next up, we have another Camp Coral episode. In Hard Time Out, SpongeBob finds himself punished by camp counselor Krabs and put in an actual timeout jail cell. Patrick, feeling guilty for getting his buddy into trouble, tries a series of hair-brained schemes to free SpongeBob, only to end up locked in timeout himself by the end.
Patrick! No!
Let's get out of here, SpongeBob!
Amid the cartoon slapstick of Patrick's failed prison breaks, the episode manages to slip in a slick reference to a much later chapter of SpongeBob's life. At one point, Patrick becomes parched from all his sneaking around and needs water. Without missing a beat, he grabs SpongeBob, who, being a sponge, is full of water, and wrings him out like a wet towel to fill a drinking cup. That's disgusting. This prompts SpongeBob to protest, as he's literally squeezed dry. And if that visual sounds familiar, it's because we've seen an older version of this duo do exactly the same thing. If we fast forward in the SpongeBob timeline to Scavenger Pants, an episode where SpongeBob and Patrick imagine themselves as grizzled old geezers on a treasure hunt, a dehydrated old man Patrick picks up old SpongeBob and twists him to extract drinking water.
Thirsty?
It's no use. We'll never find the rare desert sandwich.
Our Timeout recreates this gag with their younger selves, right down to Patrick's satisfied gulp and SpongeBob's dizzy reaction. Really cool stuff, and yeah, that's it for that episode. Next up is an episode filled to the brim with Easter eggs, and that's Plankton Gets the Boot from season 10. After an argument with Karen, he insulted her screensaver. Plankton finds himself kicked out of his own house, and throughout this episode we see him couch surfing at SpongeBob's place, which is kind of crazy, you know, like Plankton's tried to do a lot of crazy stuff to SpongeBob. Like one time he literally invaded his body and controlled him like a robot, but SpongeBob doesn't care, he's a chill guy, and still lets him sleep over. Now this is where the Easter eggs come in, as during this scene right here where the pair are eating popcorn, dude, there's like 15 plus Easter eggs in this one scene, so let's dive into all of them. First things first, who remembers Whirly Brains? SpongeBob and Patrick buy these things at the Bikini Bottom toy shop after watching an advertisement in that same episode, Whirly Brains, and it's usually used to play pranks on other Bikini Bottomites.
Found him!
Yep, that's him! Hi, Squidward!
Well, if we look at that shot from Plankton Gets the Boot, they're right here. We can also see Pretzel Pals, which is another cool reference. It actually references the episode Buried in Time, specifically this scene right here. Roll the clip.
It's our favorite game! Pretzel Pals!
Also, if we rewind to the episode Have You Seen This Snail?, there was this Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy paddle ball set. Well, it reappears years later in that same shot from Plankton Gets the Boot. And there's more. If you guys remember, there was an episode in the past where Patrick makes his own board game. It was called Patrick the Game.
Welcome, gamers, and behold! My game.
It's beautiful.
Well, Patrick the Game appears in this episode right here. And there's some more board games. For example, if we go back to the episode Arg, Mr. Krabs played this board game right here.
The Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt.
Based on a real treasure map.
This right here is the Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt, and it seems that the writers haven't forgotten about it because it's right here and Plankton Gets the Boot. And you guys may have noticed eels and escalators right here, which needs no introduction. This board game is iconic, and if you're a SpongeBob fan, you know exactly where it's from. But let's keep it moving, there's more. We can see this Mermaid Man action figure right here, which also appeared in the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob in this scene, and in the episode Toy Store of Doom. And we're still not done yet. There's the Pin the Tail on the Seahorse, which, to refresh your memory, is from this scene in the episode Opposite Day.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday cake! Happy birthday! Pin the tail of the seahorse!
It also appeared in the episode Party Pooper Pants right here as well. So really cool to see it appearing in Plankton Gets the Boot. If we look over here, we'll see Rocky Road, which made its original appearance in Goodbye Krabby Patty. But more importantly, if we look over here, guys, there's a Krusty Krab pizza, which references the iconic episode Pizza Delivery. And for those who don't know, it also appeared in this scene in the episode I Heart Dancing. We're close, but we're not done yet. If we look over here, we can see a certain set of balloons. They're kind of spread out throughout the room. The F is over here, the N is over here, and then the U is over here. And of course, guys, this is referencing the episode Fun. That is a lot of Easter eggs in one scene, guys. Like, whoever wrote this episode is a major fan, maybe even a bigger fan than me. You know what's crazy though, guys? There's even more Easter eggs in later scenes. For example, during SpongeBob's makeover sequence, he dresses Plankton up with various props. But more importantly, if we look at SpongeBob's outfit, it's actually something we've seen before. It seems to be a recolored version of the exact outfit he wore while on a pretend date with Squidward in Love That Squid.
Sometime today would be nice.
I'm ready!
Ding, not to.
Missed the spot.
Here's a side-by-side, and this one I guess is a little bit more of a reach. Like, I guess you could argue that they just reused the design and it's not intended to be an Easter egg, but who knows? And to be honest, considering the fact that there's like 15 plus other Easter eggs in this episode, I do think that this was intentional, who knows? But there's even more. When SpongeBob scans Plankton's body composition with a high-tech analyzer, the readout seems to mirror a scene from Plankton's very first appearance back in the episode Plankton.
Plankton, 1% evil, 99% hot gas.
Our next episode is Sanitation Insanity. In this episode, Mr. Krabs' penny-pinching ways lands the Krusty Krab in trouble with the law, forcing him, or rather Squidward and SpongeBob, to clean all of Bikini Bottom's trash. Now, we're gonna get into the Easter eggs and trivia, of course, but I gotta be honest with you, Mr. Krabs is definitely in the wrong here. I mean, look at just how nasty the Krusty Krab is in the start of this episode.
Get in the bag! Filthy trash! Trash juice!
Hey, maybe we should use another garbage bag, Mr. Krabs. This one's kind of full.
Forget it, boyo. I'm not paying for another garbage bag.
You know, I used to fantasize about being able to try a real Krabby Patty, not like a fast food collab version, but a real one from the Krusty Krab. But after this episode, I'm good, I don't want one. But anyways, what starts off as a riff on Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful, another littering themed episode, quickly turns into a chaotic adventure with a garbage truck mech. Along the way, Sanitation Insanity crams in nods to past SpongeBob episodes and broader pop culture overall. For example, early in the cleanup, SpongeBob uses his porous nature to his advantage.
Oh, all this fresh air feels great in my holes.
Now, if that sight and that sound feel familiar, it's because it's deliberately a reference to the episode Spongehenge, where wind blowing through SpongeBob's holes produced music that attracted jellyfish. This clip from Sanitation Insanity is also a callback to another older episode, Earworm, where SpongeBob's body became an instrument for a catchy song.
Keep your trap shut. But it wasn't my trap!
In fact, the brief melody SpongeBob whistles here in Sanitation Insanity is actually a familiar song, and you guys should already know. I mean, come on, it's the SpongeBob theme song itself. But as the trash collection escalates, the garbage truck SpongeBob and Squidward use actually transforms into like a full-on robotic transformer, sprouting arms and legs in parody of Transformers. This was confirmed by the production team. It's really cool. I mean, even the transformation sequence is a nod to Transformers. And supposedly, according to the team, it's also meant to be a reference to the Megazords from Power Rangers. I gotta say, seeing a mundane garbage truck become a literal robot battle monster is really cool. And there's more going on here. During the Robo Rampage, the show slips in a cameo that made any veteran fan cheer, including me. I'm a nerd and I was very happy. As the garbage bot smashes through various locations, one scene shows a shady-looking used boat dealership. And if you look closely, there's a familiar character here. If you guys didn't recognize him, the salesman right here is actually the same con man fish from Chocolate with Nuts. This character, also known as Incidental 118C, is famous for swindling SpongeBob and Patrick by faking an injury in that season 3 episode.
No self-respecting candy bar salesman would be caught dead without one of these. It's a candy bar bag, you knucklehead.
Suckers.
Well, in Sanitation Insanity, he appears in New Griff, selling boatmobiles to an unsuspecting customer named Carl, only to have SpongeBob's runaway trash truck demolish his entire inventory. It's a perfect little Easter egg reimagining the con man as a sleazy used car or boat salesman, which is actually like spot on for his character. Set in the Camp Coral spin-off series, Squizzery is a campfire side adventure that teams up a young Squidward and Patrick. The title itself hints at a parody. It's a riff on the Stephen King story Misery. Fittingly, Squidward breaks his ankles and is stuck being cared for by Patrick, which is very similar to the Stephen King story itself. But don't worry, we're not going to be talking about that boring stuff. The episode strands Squidward and Patrick in the woods, forcing the unlikely pair to survive together overnight.
Your legs look funny. Are you okay?
Of course I'm not okay. Look at me. My ankles are more twisted than a pretzel.
Pretzel.
This prequel setting allows for some playful continuity twists and Easter eggs that cross-reference the main SpongeBob timeline. For example, one early gag in this episode quietly contradicts a beloved classic episode. Patrick is distracted by a boot and ends up tying up this boot.
Patrick!
Sorry again, Mr. Tentacles. Just tying my shoe. Ready!
Now, this is kind of a problem, guys, as if we rewind back to the iconic SpongeBob episode, Your Shoes Untied, there's something from that episode that the writer of Squizzery clearly missed. In that season 2 episode, neither SpongeBob nor Patrick knew how to tie their shoes at all. It's like the main plot point. I know that it is technically an alternate universe, as I established earlier, but it's still technically a prequel, so it's just very weird that Patrick in the prequel knows how to tie his shoes, but then doesn't know how to tie his shoes in the regular SpongeBob show. This was likely just a fun oversight, but for me personally, I can't imagine Patrick forgetting how to tie his shoes by adulthood. But anyways, let's get to the Easter eggs and references. Those are more interesting, as there are also hints of Patrick's future living situation. While stranded and needing a place to stay, Patrick cobbles together a shelter made out of wooden planks that's shaped exactly like his iconic rock home.
Check it out! I built us a rock!
You built a rock.
Uh-huh.
Out of logs.
Yep.
Right next to an actual rock.
Correct.
This is a really cool bit of continuity and a cool reference to the original SpongeBob show. But keeping it moving, meanwhile, Squidward's misery in the woods gives rise to a brilliant pop culture reference. As Patrick cheerfully prevents Squidward from escaping, for Squidward's own good, of course, according to Patrick, Patrick responds to Squidward's orders with a deadpan line that may be familiar to some nerds out there.
Just leave me alone!
I'm afraid I can't do that, Mr. Tentacles. Until you're all better, I'm going to do everything for you. See?
This is actually a direct parody of Hal 9000's famous line where he says the following.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
So yeah, this is a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey, a really cool reference for sci-fi fans. But visually, Squizzery keeps the Easter eggs coming. We're not done yet. At one point, a completely out-of-place landmark appears during Squidward and Patrick's trek back to camp. The Brooklyn Bridge can be glimpsed in the background right over here. It's a surreal blink-and-you'll-miss-it detail, implying the camp might be nearer to the surface world than we thought. But more likely, it's just a funny gag. Once the pair finally return to Camp Coral at sunrise, with Squidward tied to Patrick's back, they stumble into the boys' cabin. And this is where we can find some more Easter eggs, but we need to keep our eyes peeled, okay? For a split second, we can see SpongeBob inside reading this Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy comic book, which makes perfect sense in this timeline. Of course, young SpongeBob would be a huge fan of superheroes, especially the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series. And there's a few more things here, alright? When everybody leaves and Squidward and Patrick dance, we can see the camper rules list right here, and one amusing rule reads, all jazz must be smooth. This is also a reference. It's a wink to the SpongeBob episode Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom, the episode where Squidward obsesses over smooth jazz legend Kelpie G.
So nice to be surrounded by such kindred spirits.
You can say that again. It's a rare treat to mingle with true diehard smooth jazzes.
Is that a lady. I've been a diehard since 10 this morning.
Clearly, even as a kid, Squidward is already enforcing jazz standards in their shared space, with him demanding that any jazz in his dorm must be smooth. Very funny. The Patrick Star Show episode, Stair Wars, is a standout episode of The Patrick Star Show that begins innocently enough, then free falls into utter silliness. The premise, Patrick and Grandpat get into a stubborn standoff on the staircase of their house, each refusing to let the other pass.
I'm sorry, Grandpat, but Dad always told me.
Son, the best advice I could ever give you is never back down from a stare-off.
I told you that! That's my advice!
Now what starts out as a minor inconvenience escalates into an epic, over-dramatic war spanning the entire episode, complete with battle montages and war cries, all over a staircase. Well, admit this over-the-top staircase duel, Stair Wars is jam-packed with references both to SpongeBob's wider franchise and to pop culture in general. Early in the episode, as Patrick slides up the impossibly long banister to charge at Grandpat, a train suddenly whooshes through the scene. It's a quick gag. The Star Family home seems to have a full locomotive running through it. But if we pay close attention, there's a marquee that says its destination, that being Camp Coral. For those in the know, this is a delightful nod to Camp Coral, another SpongeBob spin-off that honestly is kind of overhated. Camp Coral's not that bad. This is a fun little bit of self-promotion. But more importantly, what's really cool about this is it connects everything together. SpongeBob has really been trying to expand the universe in the most recent years, where they've introduced these spin-offs and spin-off movies where Plankton has his own movie, Sandy has her own movie, Patrick has his own show, and then there's Camp Coral. So stuff like this shows that the world is connected and that it all comes together, and I love that. Now on top of Easter eggs like that connect the world together, we also have a nostalgic character cameo in this episode. This right here is Mr. Sun, the smiling, alive sun that SpongeBob famously serenaded in the classic Best Day Ever song. He looks like this. He's had many different designs over the years, but what makes this a reference is this design right here, the one that we seen in Best Day Ever. Well, in Stair Wars, Mr. Sun appears with the exact same design, making for a cool reference as we haven't seen this design in years. This was his first appearance in the Patrick Star Show, and indeed a rare appearance in the franchise overall. The episode begins with the sun waking up groggily at dawn, pouring a cup of coffee from the Star family's kitchen, and perking up for the day. And this is a direct visual reference to Best Day Ever, where the sun was personified as a part of SpongeBob's morning routine. In Season 12 Swamp Mates, Patrick and Bubble Bass get lost in a murky kelp swamp during a playdate gone wrong. Now, before we get into the Easter eggs, I actually want to talk about a deleted scene for this episode. Originally, there was supposed to be a scene where Bubble Bass and Patrick were sucked on by leeches. More specifically, their butts. As his butt was getting sucked on, Bubble Bass was going to say, "Leeches, my cheeks, I'm nothing without my bubbly orbs." However, it was revealed that this scene was eventually cut. There are the images of it that I've been showing, especially this one right here, where they're literally sucking his butt. The joke isn't really inappropriate, but I can understand why it was cut considering it is a kid's show. Here's a couple more fun facts before we get into the Easter eggs for this one, because there's some interesting stuff here. For one, have you guys ever wondered how old Bubble Bass is? Well, it's confirmed in this episode during this clip right here.
So your mother has scheduled a play date for you.
I'm not 23 anymore, Mother. You'll just have to cancel it.
Well, if Bubble Bass isn't 23, then that means he's 24. So yeah, if you've ever wondered his age, yeah, he's 24. He kind of reminds me of myself, a grown man collecting collectibles and liking nerd stuff. But okay, Easter eggs, and here's the first one. If we go back years in the past to Season 3, there was the episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. And this episode's really cool because it's like an Avengers-style SpongeBob episode, where SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Sandy team up with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy to form an Avengers-style team, with them each getting their own superhero moniker. SpongeBob is the Quickster, Sandy is Miss Appear, she can turn invisible, Squidward is Captain Magma, and Patrick is the Elastic Waistband. Together, they're the International Justice League of Super Acquaintances, and they report to the Chief, this guy right here.
Our sources last saw Evil harassing teenagers up at Makeout Reef. You know, Makeout Reef?
Now, we haven't seen this wacky character for a long time. He really only appeared in this episode. But this all changed in Swamp Mates, with Martin Olson reprising his role and making his first appearance in like 20 plus years. It's also worth noting that if you look on his desk, there's a bunch of like fake SpongeBob toys or altered or bootleg SpongeBob toys. And this is for a reason. This is due to FCC regulations prohibiting the advertisement of merchandise related to a children's program within or during the same programming block as that program, which makes sense. It basically means that you can't advertise other SpongeBob toys or merchandise while the show is actively airing. But yeah, if we look at his desk, we can see a bootleg SpongeBob piggy bank or coin bank, a fake version of the original SpongeBob Funko Pop, and 2 other fake figures of unknown origin. Let's keep it moving though with more Easter eggs from this same episode. And to do that, we have to rewind back to the episode Goons on the Moon. In this episode, we were introduced to the action dog figure, the teenage action boy figure, and the teenage action girl action figures. Now, we haven't seen them since Goons on the Moon, and they seem to be pretty rare collectibles. And it seems that they're referenced in Swamp Mates, as look, right here, we can see all 3 figures. Really pushing the point that Bubble Bass is a major dork. If you guys could see my bedroom, I'm very similar to Bubble Bass. But let's keep it going even more, as during Bubble Bass's imaginative description of him capturing Man Ray, for one, it shows that Man Ray is a member of Evil, another reference to the episode Mermaid Man in Barnacle Boy 5. Like I said, in that episode, SpongeBob, Sandy, and the crew, they form their own Avengers Justice League style group. But so do all of the villains, with them forming Evil, which, as you guys should know, stands for every villain is lemons. I mean, come on. But there's more. For one, it also says that Man Ray is allergic to tartar sauce, and this is actually a fact. If we go back to the episode, Back to the Past, we can see that this is a fact.
Now prepare for a heaping helping of quick-drying tartar sauce.
And last but not least, it also shows that Man Ray hates the tickle bouts, and this is another direct reference, this time to Mermaid Man in Barnacle Boy 3. More specifically, this hilarious scene where Man Ray just cannot stop laughing.
Frequency rising! Belt out of control! Belt up too high! Tickling my DNA! Make it stop!
In the episode Tag Your It, it's a rainy day at Camp Coral, which means everybody can't really play outside. I mean, you could, but you're gonna get wet. It's better to avoid it. So everybody finds a way to entertain themselves indoors, specifically with a crazy game of tag. It's an alright episode, but what we're really here for, guys, you guys know what we're really here for, and it's Easter eggs. And the first one can be found during this scene, where we see Sandy flush her helmet almost like it's a toilet or a drain. If that looks familiar, it's because this is another direct reference, okay? This is a direct reference to OG SpongeBob, specifically the episode Texas. In this episode, Sandy starts missing her home state of Texas, and she gets very emotional. We get a couple scenes of her crying, and in one scene, she has to empty out her water bowl. Roll the clip. This is kind of like a deep cut reference, and it's cool to see that the creators of Camp Coral also knew to include this type of stuff. And there's more in Tag Your It. I really like this one, but if we go to the point in the episode about 13 minutes in and 40 seconds, if we pause at the right frame, you'll notice that there's a jar of mayo on Patrick's shelf. And this is most likely a reference to him asking if mayonnaise is an instrument in Band Geeks. Patrick seems to have some sort of obsession with mayo, which is also why it might be there. But yeah, who knew that Camp Coral actually had some cool Easter eggs like this? Let's switch up the flow on this next one and talk about Camp Coral, the SpongeBob spinoff that is completely overhated, guys. Like, this show is not that bad. It's for kids. It's meant to be like a SpongeBob spinoff for kids, but I'll see grown adult men like me like complaining about the show. And it's okay, we can agree to disagree. If you don't like Camp Coral, it's fine. Don't hate me just because I don't hate it. But anyways, we're gonna talk about Camp Coral, more specifically the episode Cabin of Curiosities. As Easter eggs aren't just limited to regular SpongeBob, they're also in the spin-offs as well. In Cabin of Curiosities, young SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to earn a friendship badge and venture... You hungry, buddy? Good boy. My dog decided to take a bite of his food. while I was doing voiceover, and I love him for it. He's looking at me right now. Here's a photo of him. See, that's how you know I'm really not an AI channel, as who would stop in the middle of a video to shout out their dog? And that's not an AI dog. Okay, so yeah, please subscribe. Anyways, though, this has been the longest intro ever, but basically in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick end up like veering off into the eerie woods at night by accident and end up inside this mysterious cabin where they meet a crew of creepy, cute characters. There's a vampire kid and other monster-themed campers who only come out after dark.
That is my web. I spun it this morning.
Oh, nice work! Do you do free alterations?
This lead little vampire introduces himself as Kid Furatsu, a name that immediately rang a bell for me because I love SpongeBob. For those who don't know, this is a playful spin on Nosferatu, the classic horror vampire who made an unforgettable cameo in the SpongeBob episode Graveyard Shift.
Nosferatu!
In that infamous season 2 scene, a live-action Nosferatu flickered the lights of the Krusty Krab, surprising everyone and becoming a long-time gag within the show. In the SpongeBob SquarePants prequel, Camp Coral, Nosferatu's legacy lives on as we meet a kid version of Nosferatu, or maybe a distant relative. Nonetheless, Nosferatu appearing in Camp Coral is a cool Easter egg here. He's pretty much like a random SpongeBob character, so the fact that the writers and art team remembered to include him here is awesome. And there's actually another thing I want to discuss when it comes to this episode. As it continues, the Monster Cabin kids spend the night scaring and then befriending SpongeBob and Patrick, showing them a frightful fun time until dawn approaches. In a scene that mirrors vampire lore, Kid Furatsu and his creepy cabin mates disintegrate when the first rays of sunlight hit them. They literally crumble into dust as the sun rises, much to SpongeBob and Patrick's shock. Here's the issue. This dramatic exit seems to imply the monster kids are creatures of the night only. However, dedicated viewers of Camp Coral noticed a funny continuity hiccup. These very same characters later appear in broad daylight in like other Camp Coral episodes. The production team definitely made a little bit of a mistake here. But fortunately, that mistake is interesting, thus turning it into a fun fact. And I've got more fun facts, trivia, and Easter eggs to come, so let's keep it rolling. Well, we're actually going to switch up the flow a little bit, guys, and we're going to talk about a video game. We're going to be talking about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and a bunch of references in this game that reference the actual show. For example, one of the most fascinating Easter eggs you can find in this game comes in the Krusty Krab kitchen. Fans notice that the kitchen's layout in this game is mirrored incorrectly. As you can see, the frying stove is positioned on the opposite side from where it normally is in the actual cartoon. It's really weird. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a simple developer error, but it turns out to be a case of life or game imitating art. The developers likely modeled the kitchen using these reference shots from the show and unknowingly copied an animation mistake that the show itself made in a few episodes. In early episodes like Nature Pants, Your Shoes Untied, and My Pretty Seahorse, all banger episodes by the way, they're such good episodes, the Krusty Krab grill was inconsistently drawn on the left side of the kitchen instead of the right. In any other episode of SpongeBob, the kitchen's drawn correctly and looks like this, with it normally being on the right, the stove. So yeah, a fun fact for you right there, that the kitchen in Battle for Bikini Bottom is incorrect, and it's incorrect because it's based on incorrect shots from the show. Crazy. Next up, we're gonna switch up the flow a little bit, and we're gonna talk about a SpongeBob video game, as even SpongeBob video games are not immune to Easter eggs. The Yellow Avenger, a 2005 video game for the PSP and DS, is an interesting one, where it sends SpongeBob on a superhero quest. While its plot stands apart from the TV episodes, the game's developers clearly did their homework on SpongeBob history, as all throughout the game's environments, they planted tons of references to classic episodes, effectively turning Bikini Bottom into a museum of SpongeBob moments. And this is what I love about the games. I'm probably going to start talking about more SpongeBob games in these videos, as there's tons of cool Easter eggs, like when SpongeBob visits Mrs. Puff's boating school in the game, he can find the famous Good Noodle board hanging on the classroom wall. We've talked about it in a few other Easter egg videos, just saying, but for those who don't know, this star chart board first appeared in the episode New Student Starfish from season 3. That's an old one. And it was used as a way for Mrs. Puff to track student behavior, with SpongeBob, of course, being the ultimate good noodle. In the Yellow Avenger video game, not only is the board present, but it's interactive. SpongeBob gets a mission to collect fallen good noodle stars to prove to Officer Nancy that he's a good noodle student. This is a direct callback to the episode where SpongeBob bragged about his good noodle stars to Patrick, and players familiar with this episode will definitely appreciate the continuity. I know I did, and when I seen it in the game, I was like, that's a cool reference. It's like a clever way to make the game feel connected to the SpongeBob universe. But I've got more. Entering Squidward's house in the game yields another treat, as there's a pixelated picture on Squidward's wall that on close inspection is actually a screenshot from one of my favorite episodes, Just One Bite. And this episode, as some of you probably know, it's revealed that Squidward has never ever eaten a Krabby Patty before. What a psycho. But once he tries one, he realizes that he loves them.
But it doesn't make any sense. The Krabby Patty is an absolute good. Are you sure?
Does this look unsure to you?
As you can see right here, this shot is from Just One Bite, and it's known as the unsure Squidward meme. Fans will recognize this face not only from the episode, but from the internet. Like, you've probably seen this meme before. But seeing it framed in Squidward's house in-game is really cool, and the developers likely included this as a tongue-in-cheek homage to one of Squidward's most iconic scenes. But the game's attention to detail continues in SpongeBob's bedroom, as if we look under Gary's food bowl right here, there's actually a newspaper partially peeking out. It's labeled Town Scare, which is actually a reference. This is the same fictional newspaper seen at the end of the episode Pranks-A-Lot. In that episode, the season 3 finale of SpongeBob and Patrick read this after terrorizing Bikini Bottom with their invisibility spray. The headline reads, "Town Scared as Ghosts Attack," as a result of their pranks, where they use the invisible spray and they look invisible and then they prank people, as you can see in this clip right here. Well, in the Yellow Avenger, that very same newspaper clipping is hidden under Gary's bowl, but it implies SpongeBob kept a souvenir of that ghostly adventure. And we're still not done yet. Another nod comes in SpongeBob's newfound powers. With Mermaid Man's belt, SpongeBob can shoot water balls in the game, essentially globes of water that he hurls at enemies. And this ability is a direct reference to the water balls used to throw in the TV show. For example, in the first Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode from season 1, and I'm still not done yet. Beyond those highlights, the game's trivia list is busting with other references. For example, the sea needle location is explorable, the same one from the episode pre-hibernation week. Bubble Bats and Flats the Flounder were mentioned as cut content, so they didn't make it into the game, but they were planned. But more interestingly, when you complete the game, it unlocks a character viewer that includes even more obscure characters, and a adorable touch, as if you idle for too long, SpongeBob will explain to the player how to make jellyfish jelly. So yeah, lots of cool stuff in this game, man. I really recommend giving it a play. To be fair though, it's a PSP game, so it's going to be very dated, but I think SpongeBob should play into the whole superhero thing more often. Like, even for the next SpongeBob movie, they should do something where they all adapt their superhero personas, like the Quickster, Miss Appear, etc. But yeah, let's head into another episode. In the season 11 episode Chef Bob, Mr. Krabs installs a viewing window and turns his fry cook into a live performer to boost business. Kind of a smart idea. He essentially makes SpongeBob put on a cooking show for the customers, which, as you would imagine, SpongeBob would be really good at. Well, the normally outgoing SpongeBob is actually struck with a case of stage fright, and his anxiety while cooking for an audience leads to some hilarious scenes.
If you don't come out, you're fired. There he is!
Now, when SpongeBob tries to make a Krabby Patty under pressure in this episode, we get this scene where he slaps a shoe onto the bun instead of a pickle. Longtime fans will recognize this as a callback to the episode Pickles. In Pickles, SpongeBob lost his confidence in cooking thanks to Bubble Bass lying. And during a very memorable scene where SpongeBob botches making a Krabby Patty, he tops the patty with a shoe, among other absurd ingredients. Chef Bob recreates this gag in a very similar way, making for a cool Easter egg big, but also this could be a coincidence. I don't think it is though. I think this is like intentional. Back to the plot though. This pressure of having to perform for everybody eventually is too much for SpongeBob, and he ends up cowering under the grill, which is where this episode's next Easter egg sneaks in. As well hiding under the cooking station, we can see this sea urchin right here. This isn't just a random critter, it's actually a sly nod to the season 8 episode Eek an Urchin, in which the Krusty Krab was infested by a sea urchin that SpongeBob and Squidward had to remove.
Sea urchin!
This is cool, as the presence of a sea urchin under the grill in this episode implies that maybe not all of those spiky pests were cleared out. It's a subtle bit of continuity that connects SpongeBob's current problem to an earlier adventure, and also suggests that Mr. Krabs needs to clean his kitchen, bro. It's been multiple seasons since those sea urchins. What's this dude doing? No wonder the health inspector has been called on his butt so many times. The Bikini Bottom Better Business Bureau needs to get their butts down here, just like they did in that other episode we covered the other day. Also, I'm just gonna say this one is also potentially a coincidence, so let me know what you think in the comments. It's still pretty interesting. Eventually, SpongeBob's stage fright and Chef Bob drives him to a desperate solution. He creates a puppet doppelganger, a literal talking sponge hand puppet named Chef Bob, to do all of the cooking and entertaining for him. This absurd scenario is very funny, it's a good plot for comedy in an episode, with the puppet Chef Bob even insulting customers at times.
Hey, what dirt on your neck? Oh, it's your head.
But it also highlights a really weird character inconsistency that's really freaking weird. Historically, SpongeBob has never been shy about performing. Quite the opposite, actually. He's been in the spotlight numerous times in episodes like Culture Shock or Squirrel Jokes, relishing in performances on stage, and even leading a stadium of thousands in band geeks. Remember when he literally headlined the Bubble Bowl? Given that track record, seeing SpongeBob paralyzed by stage fright in this episode is some weird writing. It seems to contradict his established character. I mean, he's usually a born performer who loves to make others smile, to the point where he's kind of annoying about it. It doesn't necessarily ruin the episode's fun, but just a weird situation, and this is another one where whoever wrote this episode or whoever wrote this scene needs to educate themselves on SpongeBob lore, alright? When I know more about SpongeBob lore than a writer, then there's definitely something wrong. In the episode Feral Friends, a mysterious anatomical event called Neptune's Moon causes all of the residents of Bikini Bottom to revert to wild versions of themselves. The story itself is a tongue-in-cheek homage to classic monster movie tropes, but more importantly, it's chock full of SpongeBob lore and Easter eggs. As chaos erupts and our beloved characters turn into real-world sea creatures, two notable absences are Plankton and Karen. Well, not really Karen because she's a computer, but especially Plankton. They never appear in the final episode, which made fans like me wonder what would happen if Tiny Plankton got zapped by Neptune's moon, and we got to see the real-life sea creature version of him. Well, this was actually answered for us, and it came from a deleted scene revealed in a storyboard animatic. In the cutscene, Plankton is waiting for Karen to bring him his dinner, and that's when Neptune's moon hits. He transforms into a feral, microscopic copiapod and skitters off. But when Karen returns with his meal, she mistakes Mini Plankton for a legitimate pesky bug and splats her husband before casually flicking away the gooey remains. Damn, Karen's a savage. To be honest with you, I can kind of understand why this scene got cut, because it's not necessarily the most graphic scene. There's been some worse stuff in SpongeBob. I mean, especially if you've seen the episode The Splinter, but this was pushing it for a kid show. But deleted scenes isn't the only thing I want to talk about. Don't worry, there's some actual Easter eggs coming up and lots of interesting facts as well. With the town in crisis, Sandy Cheeks deliberately calls on somebody who might understand what is going on. This leads to the surprise reveal of the French narrator. And not just the voice that we hear all the time, but in person. Sandy contacts the narrator, and we can actually see him in his undersea submarine. And fun fact, this is actually only the second time that we've ever seen the French narrator on screen. The first was all the way back in season 2's No Free Rides, during this clip right here.
It means another whole year of boarding school! What happened?
Well, Feral Friends brings him back after over a decade, which honestly is pretty cool. As the scene progresses, the narrator explains that Neptune's moon is a rare event that happens once every century, explaining what's been going on here. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the narrator has actually gotten a costume update. In his 2000s appearance, he wore sleek modern scuba gear. But if we look at it side by side with a shot from his original appearance and this one, he's now decked out in like an old-fashioned brass diving suit. It's pretty fresh. This retro suit, complete with a round metal helmet, is itself an Easter egg, as producers have confirmed that it was supposed to bear some sort of resemblance to the Cyclops from the original SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I mean, the French narrator's new look isn't exactly identical, his helmet is a bit different, and there's some other differences, but hey, if the creators are saying it's a reference, then I'm not going to argue with them. But there's actually some more references here with the French narrator. As speaking of his submarine, the vehicle itself hides a historical reference, as the submarine he pilots through Bikini Bottom's waters strongly resembles a German U-boat from World War II. Feral Friends is also special for bringing back Patchy the pirate and his iconic pet, Potty. Patchy, the live-action pirate played by Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's voice actor by the way, was a staple of early SpongeBob specials, but they kinda did away with those after a while, and he hadn't been seen on the show for about 5 years prior to this cameo. The episode frames Patchy and Potty as observers of the Neptune's moon incident, corresponding with the French narrator from land. And this marks their first live-action appearance within the series since Legends of Bikini Bottom. Fans welcomed Patchy's return, but there's another Easter egg hidden in plain sight, or rather in earshot. If Potty the parrot sounds a bit different, it's because he's now voiced by somebody new, or actually somebody old. Doug Lawrence, Mr. Lawrence, and the person who voices Plankton actually took over Potty's voice acting role in this episode. And this is actually a pretty full circle moment, as Doug Lawrence is the person who created Potty's character as a writer. And I mean, this voice change is something I never even noticed, but it's actually happened 3 times. In early seasons, Potty was originally voiced by SpongeBob creator and legend, the GOAT, Steven Hillenburg, before Steven Hillenburg was replaced by Paul Tibbitt. And now, of course, Lawrence has taken on the role. So let's compare all 3 voices. Let's hear how Steven Hillenburg sounded when he voiced the character.
Potty want cookie dough. Cookie.
Potty, no.
And now let's also take a listen to Paul Tibbitt's version of the character.
Look, Patchy, a Rolodex. Why, it's probably full of celebrity phone numbers. You don't need SpongeBob. You can call him yourself.
And last but not least, let's hear how Doug Lawrence does the job.
Okay, so we're looking for some fields then.
No, Patchy. The directions to the North Pole are in the song There Goes Santa Claus. There goes Santa Claus. There goes Santa Claus. Left on Santa Claus Drive.
Let me know in the comments, who do you think does the best job when it comes to Potty? But let's talk about even more references and Easter eggs. As Neptune's moon sets and things get even crazier, Patchy and Potty have their own hilarious reaction on the surface. In the climax, an event called Neptune's Sun, the antidote to Neptune's moon, rises, and its rays revert everyone not back to normal, but to prehistoric forms for a brief time. Suddenly, Patchy the pirate is transformed into a primitive caveman version of himself, and Potty fittingly becomes a pterodactyl. This entire sequence is one giant love letter to the Season 3 special, Ugh, also known as SpongeBob BC, the prehistoric-themed SpongeBob episode hosted by Patchy. In this episode, Patchy daydreams about dinosaurs, and at one point wishes that his parrot was a pterodactyl, a gag that finally comes true, and that the writers finally pay off here in Feral Friends. And to make the moment extra special, and even more of a clear reference, the show underscores a lot of Potty and Patchy's scenes by using the same exact background music that played throughout Patchy's caveman adventure in SpongeBob BC. It's pretty much like the same song. Like here, I'm gonna try and play it and not get destroyed by copyright. Here's the version of the song from SpongeBob BC.
I told you prehistoric times were fun. Hey, how's about I teach you kids how a caveman makes a fire with 2 sticks?
And here's the version of the song from Feral Friends. To drive this Easter egg home even more, Patchy's behavior once he becomes like the prehistoric version of himself mirrors that of the character Cavey, the friendly primitive character that Patchy thought from Ice in this special.
I called him Cavey. Need something? It's okay, Katie.
In Feral Friends, as soon as Patchy devolves, he starts grunting, stomping, and acting like a caveman himself, just like Cavey did. And honestly, it's a great multi-layered reference. As a two-part Halloween special, The Haunted Bucket overflows with spooky fun and callbacks to SpongeBob's own haunted history. The episode's setup sees SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward entering the Chum Bucket on Halloween night, only for Plankton's latest evil gadget to malfunction and rip open a portal to a ghostly underworld.
Why are they dressed like cowboys?
Well, I bought the Chum Bucket cheap because it was built on an ancient cowboy burial ground.
What follows is a cascade of visual gags and references that will make any longtime fan cackle like the Flying Dutchman. In fact, speaking of the Dutchman, Squidward shows up to Mr. Krabs' Halloween party wearing his old Flying Dutchman costume. And if it looks familiar, it's because it's from this scene I'm about to play from the episode Scaredy Pants. Roll the clip.
I've come for your pickle.
Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, he's wearing the exact same costume, and I love this, man. Like, this episode is season 16, so it came out in 2025. Scaredy Pants came out in the early 2000s, so whoever wrote this episode or this gag, they did their research. You know, I wonder if Squidward dresses up as the Flying Dutchman every year, and if he does, it's kind of funny, because this is the same dude who put Squidward down the Fly of Despair. This happened in the episode Shanghai, and just look, poor Squidward. Actually, maybe he's dressing up as him so that doesn't happen again. But anyways, once the real haunting begins in this episode, SpongeBob himself ends up transformed into a special form. And keen-eyed viewers will notice that it's the same look he sported in Season 7's The Curse of Bikini Bottom. In that episode, SpongeBob and Patrick were turned into transparent green ghosts by the Dutchman's curse.
You're ghosts!
Ooh!
We're ghosts!
This isn't really working out the way I imagined.
The Haunted Bucket gives SpongeBob a similar ghostly appearance when he accidentally gets zapped by Plankton's machine, echoing the previous episode I just mentioned. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick's choice of Halloween costumes is also a deep cut in itself. Take a look.
We're going as a Simul! Uh-oh, I think we're both rear ends.
As you just seen, SpongeBob and Patrick dress up as a two-person horse. This silly getup actually resembles Patrick's own horse alter ego from the episode Pat the Horse, in which Patrick pretended to be a horse for literally a whole episode. Like, I'm not lying. Take a look at this clip.
Calm down, buddy. I don't want to lose you again.
But the episode doesn't stop at character costumes. The entire Chum Bucket laboratory is dressed up with references. When Plankton chases the trespassers into his basement lab, the set piece will look familiar, as the lab's layout closely resembles the high-tech lab seen in Welcome to the Chum Bucket, right down to the large machines and eerie lighting. Like, here's a side-by-side and you can definitely see it. Additionally, SpongeBob's old robot SpongeBob makes a cameo in the corner, and this is the same robot version of SpongeBob from the episode Welcome to the Chum Bucket.
Get welded.
Wait! I command you, make me a Krabby Patty!
There's another Easter egg during that same Plankton laboratory scene, with the animators even throwing in a transmogrifter device from the episode The Algae's Always Greener, another infamous Plankton invention that swapped his life with Mr. Krabs. It's sitting amongst the junk in the lab, and it's a blink and you'll miss it type of Easter egg for sharp viewers who recall that life-switching remote control. These background details firmly root the Haunted Bucket in SpongeBob's lore, making the Chum Bucket feel like a haunted museum of Plankton's past schemes. I love it. And there's more. At one point, Plankton frantically brainstorms how to stop the rampaging ghosts he's unleashed and muses that he needs something absorbent yet porous. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Well, it's an obvious nod to the SpongeBob theme song, where it says absorbent in yellow and porous is he. It's a clever fourth wall poke that suggests Plankton knows exactly who can save the day.
All we need now is something to contain those ghosts.
Something absorbent, yet porous.
Oh.
Even the trick-or-treating montage is loaded with Easter eggs. For example, who remembers the character Kenny the Cat? He appeared in literally the episode called Kenny the Cat, and take a look at this clip. He was an interesting character.
But down here, I'm someone special. Someone who can make people happy. And if making the world a happier place makes me a criminal, then lock me up and throw away the key.
This is how Kenny the cat looks. And remember this as it's important. If we go back to that trick-or-treating montage scene, look.
Hello?
As you just saw, one of the background kids is dressed as Kenny the cat, complete with whiskers and a ear headband. And he even has a poster of Kenny in his house, referencing the famous air-breathing feline from the episode, Kenny the cat. This is really cool because it's more world building. Kenny the cat is a celebrity in Bikini Bottom, if you guys remember from the episode Kenny the cat, so it makes sense that a kid would have a poster of him and would dress up as him. This was really good writing here. But if we look closely, another costume child twirls in a sparkly pink gown. Well, a lot of people think that this could be a reference to Glinda, the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz. Here's a side-by-side. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You should be sleeping though. You shouldn't be commenting anything actually. Just stay sleeping, close those eyes, and let Cartoon Corey put you to sleep. It sounded kind of creepy, but I don't mean it like that. But let's keep it moving, as just when you think the Haunted Bucket has packed every single SpongeBob reference possible, it even tips its hat to Charlie Brown. Some of you guys might not know Charlie Brown because you're young, but Charlie Brown is like an iconic cartoon from back in the day. But yeah, a few scenes gently parody the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special, with pumpkin ghosts and candy gags that Peanuts aficionados will definitely recognize. All of these homages and in-jokes are woven seamlessly into the narrative. The characters never pause to explain them like I do, but fans like me in the know will be very happy with this episode, so go give it a watch. The episode, The Creepy Krab, brings a spooky vibe to the Krusty Krab, and even its title, like the title of this episode, is actually a reference in itself. Longtime SpongeBob fans and nerds like me who need to touch grass might recall that back in season 2, there was an episode called Bossy Boots, and in this episode, SpongeBob brainstorms a bunch of new names for the Krusty Krab. And listen closely to these clips, you'll hear something familiar.
How about the chaotic crab?
How about the kissy crab?
The creepy crab. The killer crab.
As you just heard, the creepy crab was actually one of SpongeBob's suggestions. And you have to think how crazy it is to go back and reference this. Like, Bossy Boots is an iconic episode, but it's also like a random season 2 episode. So the fact that they went and got this reference and decided to include it in this episode is really cool. Now on the episode's plot, Slappy, who's Nosferatu's eccentric assistant for those who don't know, this guy right here, he gets hired by Mr. Krabs and decides to give the Krusty Krab a full haunted house makeover for an evening. And this is where we can find the other Easter egg, or I guess it's more of a reference. Fittingly, Slappy's friend group of monsters comes in to dine. And it's easy to miss, but each one of them is actually a nod to classic horror icons. There's Dracula, an invisible man, a Frankenstein-type creature, a gooey blob reminiscent of literally the Blob, and a howling wolfman, among others. Seeing all these familiar monster archetypes sharing Krabby Patties is a treat for any horror movie fan, and it's also just a really cool reference. And of course, I've got more. Next up is the episode Squidward's Sick Days from season 13. And in this one, Squidward ends up faking being sick just so he doesn't have to go to work, which is very Squidward. He's a very lazy guy sometimes. Just as you can imagine, this doesn't go as planned, and Mr. Krabs sends a certain somebody to look after Squidward.
Oh, you are in no condition to be alone. That's why I brought you some help. Take one of these and call me in the morning.
The doctor is in.
Now there's actually quite a few Easter eggs in this episode, but for them to make sense, I gotta give you guys some context. So at the start of this episode, it's Squidward at work, and as you can see, he isn't having a very good time. Everyone's yelling at him, but it turns out that this is a nightmare. However, during the nightmare, he actually makes a certain face that is a reference to an older episode. For example, take a look at this clip right here. This face right here that Squidward makes when he screams is almost identical to this face that he made in the episode Graveyard Shift.
The sash ringing! The flash singing! The bash pinging!
The hash slinging slasher!
Here's a side-by-side, and let me know in the comments. I think that this was a pretty clear reference, or maybe it was just a happy accident. But either way, it's really cool. And if we fast forward a little bit, we'll get to this scene in the episode where Squidward is fantasizing about the perfect day, which includes him diving into a beautiful waterfront, jumping off of a waterfall, and along the way, we see his favorite snack. These right here are bonbons, and this is another reference. This bonbon snack first appeared in the episode Good Neighbors during this scene right here, and they're actually one of Squidward's favorite snacks. They're more of like a luxury treat, it seems.
This is gonna be a heavenly day. Oh, I almost forgot. Bonbons. Hello there, heaven's little wonder.
So yeah, it's cool to see them in Squidward's daydream. He really likes bonbons. I wanna try a bonbon right now. But before I can do that, I gotta finish this video, so let's do some more Easter eggs from this episode. Well, before an Easter egg, here's a very weird fun fact I found out while researching this video, and that's that in the original storyboards for this episode, SpongeBob was going to paint a painting and give it to Squidward, and it was going to feature SpongeBob and Squidward standing behind a heart of love. Now this was drawn by storyboard revisionist Dylan Houston King, and when he posted it on Instagram, he included a certain tag, that being SquidBob, which is actually a reference to the character shipping of SpongeBob and Squidward, which pretty much features SpongeBob and Squidward in a romantic relationship. So I'm just pointing out that one of these storyboard artists literally referenced this, not in the show, but on their personal Instagram. So I thought I'd point that out. It's kind of funny. But back to the Easter eggs, as throughout this episode, SpongeBob helps, quote unquote helps. He doesn't really do a good job, but he tries to help Squidward feel better. And by the end of the episode, when he returns to work, Squidward goes through a bit of a transformation, as look.
I used to be sick of everything, but I'm not sick anymore. I've been plagued by toxins and stress built up over the years at this job, but SpongeBob washed those away.
As you can see, Handsome Squidward makes a reappearance in this episode. Handsome Squidward first appeared back in the episode The Two Faces of Squidward, where his face got all messed up and then he became beautiful. He actually looks very handsome. And it seems that the animators or writers intentionally referenced this at the ending of this episode. And there's actually a nice touch here, as this is like a double entendre, all right? This is like a double Easter egg. As if you look, Handsome Squidward has long blonde hair. And this itself is a callback to another episode of the original Fry Cook, where Squidward had long hair in the past until he lost it on the day that Jim quit working at the Krusty Krab. So yeah, 2 references in one, and that's really, really cool. One last fact I'm gonna mention before we wrap up this episode is that there's some reused audio here, as Patrick's scream when he falls from the window is actually reused from the episode Farmer Bob. Here's a side-by-side, here's the scream from Squidward's Sick Days.
Now to get rid of the other monkey on my back.
And here's the scream from Farmer Bob. And as you can see, they reused the same scream. It's not a big deal, but yeah, let's keep it moving. More Easter eggs. Next up is the episode Squidward's Sick Days from season 13. And in this one, Squidward ends up faking being sick just so he doesn't have to go to work, which is very Squidward. He's a very lazy guy sometimes. Just as you can imagine, this doesn't go as planned, and Mr. Krab sends a certain somebody to look after Squidward.
Oh, you are in no condition to be alone. That's why I brought you some help. Take one of these and call me in the morning.
The doctor is in.
Now there's actually quite a few Easter eggs in this episode, but for them to make sense, I gotta give you guys some context. So at the start of this episode, it's Squidward at work, and as you can see, he isn't having a very good time. Everyone's yelling at him, but it turns out that this is a nightmare. However, during the nightmare, he actually makes a certain face that is a reference to an older episode. For example, take a look at this clip right here. This face right here that Squidward makes when he screams is almost identical to this face that he made in the episode Graveyard Shift.
The sash ringing! The flash singing! The bash pinging!
The hash slinging slasher!
Here's a side-by-side, and let me know in the comments. I think that this was a pretty clear reference, or maybe it was just a happy accident. But either way, it's really cool. And if we fast forward a little bit, we'll get to this scene in the episode where Squidward is fantasizing about the perfect day, which includes him diving into a beautiful waterfront, jumping off of a waterfall, and along the way, we see his favorite snack. These right here are bonbons, and this is another reference. This bonbon snack first appeared in the episode Good Neighbors during this scene right here, and they're actually one of Squidward's favorite snacks. They're more of like a luxury treat, it seems.
This is gonna be a heavenly day. Oh, I almost forgot. Bonbons. Hello there, heaven's little wonder.
So yeah, it's cool to see them in Squidward's daydream. He really likes bonbons. I wanna try a bonbon right now. But before I can do that, I gotta finish this video, so let's do some more Easter eggs from this episode. Well, before an Easter egg, here's a very weird fun fact I found out while researching this video, and that's that in the original storyboards for this episode, SpongeBob was going to paint a painting and give it to Squidward, and it was going to feature SpongeBob and Squidward standing behind a heart of love. Now this was drawn by storyboard revisionist Dylan Houston King, and when he posted it on Instagram, he included a certain tag, that being SquidBob, which is actually a reference to the character shipping of SpongeBob and Squidward, which pretty much features SpongeBob and Squidward in a romantic relationship. So I'm just pointing out that one of these storyboard artists literally referenced this, not in the show, but on their personal Instagram. So I thought I'd point that out. It's kind of funny. But back to the Easter eggs, as throughout this episode, SpongeBob helps, quote unquote helps. He doesn't really do a good job, but he tries to help Squidward feel better. And by the end of the episode, when he returns to work, Squidward goes through a bit of a transformation, as look.
I used to be sick of everything, but I'm not sick anymore. I've been plagued by toxins and stress built up over the years at this job, but SpongeBob washed those away.
As you can see, Handsome Squidward makes a reappearance in this episode. Handsome Squidward first appeared back in the episode The Two Faces of Squidward, where his face got all messed up and then he became beautiful. He actually looks very handsome. And it seems that the animators or writers intentionally referenced this at the ending of this episode. And there's actually a nice touch here, as this is like a double entendre, all right? This is like a double Easter egg. As if you look, Handsome Squidward has long blonde hair. And this itself is a callback to another episode of the original Fry Code, where Squidward had long hair in the past until he lost it on the day that Jim quit working at the Krusty Krab. So yeah, 2 references in one, and that's really, really cool. One last fact I'm gonna mention before we wrap up this episode is that there's some reused audio here, as Patrick's scream when he falls from the window is actually reused from the episode Farmer Bob. Here's a side-by-side, here's the scream from Squidward's Sick Days.
Now to get rid of the other monkey on my back.
And here's the scream from Farmer Bob. And as you can see, they reused the same scream. It's not a big deal, but yeah, let's keep it moving. More Easter eggs. When Patrick's mother, Bunny, leaves the Star family home for a week in the episode Cleanin' House, she leaves to claim an inheritance in Clopnod, the location we were talking about earlier. And when she does this, chaos quickly erupts in her absence. Each member of the household is tasked with cleaning a different part of the now filthy house before their mom gets home. And it makes for a good plot, but I know what you guys are actually here for, and it's the Easter eggs, as there are a bunch of visual references and nods to SpongeBob's lore in this episode. Here's the first one, roll the clip.
I was eating that!
So as you can see right here, I'm looping it, but Patrick can be seen eating a chocolate bar. But this isn't just any old chocolate bar, guys. Take a look at it and then take a look at this scene and it might seem a little familiar.
Did you say chocolate?
Yes, sir. With or without nuts.
Yeah, that's right, guys. The chocolate that Patrick's eating at the start of this episode is the same chocolate bar from Chocolate with Nuts. Here's a side-by-side. And dude, now I'm hungry. Deep fried crabs today. This chocolate bar. I'm gonna go get some food after this. But yeah, really cool reference, guys. And here's another one. Roll the clip. Alright, so let me explain. As you can see, there are 3 disgusting cockroaches right here, and they may seem a little bit familiar to you guys, as their design resembles the one that we seen back in the episode, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4. Okay, and here's one more from this episode, and you all should right away get this reference. Roll the clip.
She says she's coming back home.
Home? We gotta get the place clean before Bunny gets back.
I ain't doing any cleaning.
We'll start with your filthy mouth, Dad.
Now listen, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and no matter what, Cartoon Corey loves ya and respects ya, but if you did not catch that Easter egg, you're kind of a fake SpongeBob fan, as you guys just heard, dolphin chirps were used as replacements for curse words, which is a direct reference to the iconic episode Sailor Mouth.